Cheroenhaka-Nottoway, they didn't count the children. So they coined matrilineal instead of patrilineal. But the history is very rich there in Southampton County.
Now, War Chief Howell, if someone looked at you right now, they would say that you were African American, would they not? Now, your grandfather, though, was supposed to have been, according to records.
Well, he was.
Oh, he was the last. Well, no, but according to, he wasn't the last
right,
of
exactly,
the Nottoway,
exactly.
of the Cheroenhaka-Nottoway tribe, though. Right. Tell us about him.
Well, my grandfather, he passed away in 1960, and I was born in 1947, and he married. It was a black woman, and they had one child, which was my mother. But I had a chance to meet him, and because I was a young fellow when he passed away. And he was kind of a quiet man. He didn't hardly say anything. And now it's coming clear as why he was so quiet, because what happened to his people. And
did he talk to you about your heritage?
No. Yeah, I used to ask my mother, I said, why is my grandfather so quiet? He never had much to say. And it's coming pretty clear to me as why he was so quiet.
Because at that time, they did not talk about being Indians because you could be jailed, correct?
Exactly. There was a lot of bad things that could have happened to you if you were native and if you were caught off the reservation. In some cases, you could be shot on sight. Okay? But getting back to William Lamb, who Paramore and Floyd Painter, Paramore wrote the history of Southampton County, said was the last Cheroenhaka-Nottoway riding a bicycle in Cortland. Again, we know that was not true because William Lamb Howell, who was my war chief, is his grandson. But that's typical of what happened to first Americans in the Commonwealth. How things were done to actually change, not only to change one's race, but to change one's ethnicity, to take away their traditions, to take away their cultures, etc. And I'd like to go back to the 1808 Cheroenhaka-Nottoway Indian census to my fifth foster great-grandmother, who was Queen Edith Turner. Her name was really Wane Runsira, but the whites called her Turner. And the names, the colonial names, were given to us the same basically as the slave mentality.
The slaves were, yeah.
If your mother was a slave and living on a reservation, that means your child was a slave and that you took on the name of the master. So what had happened with native people, we didn't have colonial names. We had native names. My fourth great-grandmother's name was Carahoot. That was her native name. But when they did the census, they pinned her as being Mary Polly Whitson, who married Pearson Turner and became Mary Turner and went over to Artistown in 1825 along with the Bozeman, the Browns, the Artists, the Boones, and the Whitsons, and just stayed there until the early 1990s.
So if you look at the records, then you would think that there would be no Indians in Southampton County, of Cheroenhaka-Nottoway Indians, but we know that there are. So when did this shift change for people to start researching and accepting their native heritage?
Well, I give you an example of my family. My grandfather had 18 kids, okay? And he always shared with us our native heritage. His wife was Ophelia Rogers. That was my father's mother. She was the daughter of Alex Rogers, that is listed on the 1808 Cheroenhaka-Nottoway Indian census, who was tried for murder in 1820 and found guilty of second-degree murder. Did 12 years of hard labor, got out, and went into Nansemond County, married, and went over to Hertford County. But at that time, native people could not testify for each other. I have the whole court case. It was really self-defense. Now, native people, my people, were classified as mulatto. Okay. Now that was a term that not necessarily mean half white, half black, or half Indian, half white, or half Indian, half black. It was a term that the colonials created back in the early 1700s, and in reality, in many cases, it means purebred Native American. And that term mulatto, I mean, the first one was 1824, the first Racial Integrity Act, 1824, and then 1924 was the last one in Virginia that was brought about during the plecurism. So when you're doing genealogical searches, unless you can talk to your ancestors, your parents, your grandmothers, great-grandmothers, and I tell people when I do presentations, talk to your people and ask, from whence came I? So I can know how far I still have to go, okay? Because Go ahead.
Let me ask Dr. Bozier. Talk to me about the relationship then, as Indians started to assimilate into other cultures.